Welcome to the first transmission of the Wednesday Weekly Worship Webcast, or W4. The purpose of these weekly webcasts is to provide you a mini midweek ministry specific to young adults, ages 18 through 35. My name is Gregory Boyd, and I am your Director of Young Adult Ministry at the Unitarian Church of Harrisburg. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to comment me, email, or stop me at coffee hour. We're going to begin our worship webcast today by lighting the chalice, the symbol of our UU faith and covenantal bond with one another to live our faith each and every day. Our chalice lighting words today come from reading number 624, Hope Again, and singing the living tradition. God of Easter and infrequent spring, announce the large covenant to deceitful lands. Drive the sweet liquor through our parched veins. Lure us to fresh schemes of life. Rouse us from tiredness, self-pity. Wet us for use. Fire us with good passion. Restore us in love of living. Bind us to fear and hope again. Now we take a moment of silence for joy, concern, and all things good in the world. I will be silent for 30 seconds. If you require additional time for silent reflection, you may pause the webcast. Today our topic of discussion is Jesus, the Jew, the Christian, the Pragmatic Unitarian Universalist. I chose this topic not only because we are nearing the midpoints of both the Jewish observance of Passover, a holiday which calls Jews to remember the suffering they faced in Egypt before their exodus into the deserts of the Middle East, and the Christian Holy Week, which calls Christians to remember the events of the week between Jesus entering Jerusalem and his execution by crucifixion at the hands of the Romans, but also because these three interpretations of his life offer the message of perseverance, self-reflection, and the transcendent power of love. It is well known, albeit hotly contested, that Joshua ben Joseph, or Jesus, was Jewish. Jesus was no ordinary Jew. He was born into a world that saw Judea an occupied state, rigidly controlled by the Romans. His world was not unlike ours, one of sharp divisions where whom you know and how you knew them were of vital importance. These divisions also permeated his faith tradition. Of note were two major factions in Judaism: the Sadducees, a party composed largely of priestly families who enjoyed considerable influence with their foreign rulers, and the Hasidim, who rejected all compromise and collaboration with foreign powers. The most prominent figure among the Hasidim was Hillel, a Jewish scholar from Babylon, who preached, "Whatever is hateful to you, do not to your fellow man. This is the whole law. The rest is merely commentary." While Hillel, being a Pharisee, believed in purity and separation of the Jews from other peoples, he did not advocate a violent revolt from Rome. He preferred to await divine intervention. Jesus, on the other hand, was a zealot who preached the imminent coming of the kingdom, although in a completely non-political manner. Other zealots sporadically organized armed resistance against the Romans. Jesus was a popular figure for roughly 3 years as he wandered the lands of Judea and Galilee, preaching a message very similar to those of Hillel. Jesus' primary difference was, of course, his claim to divinity, which simultaneously branded him a blasphemer among other groups of Jews and as a threat to law and order in the eyes of the Romans. This double denunciation ultimately led to Jesus' untimely death and the observance of the Easter holiday. The belief in the resurrection of Jesus on the third day after his execution sets the course for the distinction between Judaism and Christianity, because, for believers, this occurrence marks the point at which the title Christ, from the Greek for Messiah, is made manifest. Yet it is exactly this event which permanently links the two belief systems. The reality of Jesus' identity as a Jew, Christianity forming as a progression of understanding many of his Jewish teachings, and the springtime observances of both faiths coalesce into a beautiful message for all times. This celebratory syzygy, the alignment of all three events, emphasizes the core components of our liberal religious tradition. As Unitarians, this co-occurrence underscores the unity of the divine, the simple fact that by having faith, people will often arrive at similar conclusions, and even holidays. As Universalists, each observance eloquently extols the concept of salvation, that of the Jews from bondage, of Jesus, and allegorically of that of all people from a divisive world, and that of a barren earth as she regains her fertility. Moreover, as modern Unitarian Universalists, this synchronicity perhaps best goads us, as the men at Jesus' open tomb warned the women who have come to warn him, not to look for the living among the dead. The true reason for this season is for each of us to be mindful of our past actions, but also to begin again in love. Our worship webcast is now drawing to a close. I offer you these words of benediction from reading number 699 and singing the living tradition. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honorable, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Go in peace, go in love. See you next Wednesday during our weekly worship webcast, Rites of Passage and Ways of Being.